Okay, gather round everybody. Yep, pull your logs a little closer to the fire pit. Welcome to tonight's explainer. Now, usually, we break down data or scientific research, but tonight I've got something a little different for you. We're actually going to look at the anatomy of fear. We're going to deconstruct a documented night of absolute, unadulterated terror, step by step, right here in the dark. So, for all of you sitting out there with those dark woods right at your backs and just the light of this fire illuminating your faces, I want you to pay very close attention to this. Let's just dive right into this chilling account, shall we?
Have you ever felt like you weren't alone in the dark? Seriously, I want you to really think about that for a second. Imagine yourself completely vulnerable. You're in this massive, empty house. The lights are completely off. The silence is heavy. You know that feeling when the hairs on the back of your neck just suddenly stand straight up? When your brain is screaming at you that something is watching you, even though your eyes can't see a single thing? Well, keep that exact feeling right in the front of your mind as we go through this.
Section 1. The Empty House. So our documented account begins with basically the perfect setup for total isolation. Picture the teenager in our story. He's totally alone in this house during a massive thunderstorm. And we're talking about the kind of storm where the thunder is so incredibly violent that the entire house is literally shaking on its foundation every time lightning strikes. Now, his parents are out of town, his younger brother is sleeping over at a friend's house, so for the first time in years, he is completely alone. Or, well, at least that's exactly what he thought. Because at exactly 1:30 in the morning, the power abruptly cuts out. Just boom. Instantly, the house is plunged into pitch blackness. The TV dies, the internet router goes dark, even the hum of the refrigerator just stops. There is absolutely nothing left but the suffocating silence, only broken by the relentless sound of heavy rain violently hitting the window panes.
So I gotta ask all of you sitting around this fire right now, what would you do if you were home alone and the power just died? Would you hide under the blankets? Would you call someone? Well, the teenager in our story did what, honestly, most of us would logically do. He reached into his pocket, grabbed his phone, turned on that harsh, narrow beam of the flashlight, and began the slow walk downstairs to the kitchen to try and find some candles.
Section 2. Footsteps in the dark.
Okay, so he's at the bottom of the stairs, the house is completely pitch black, and suddenly, bang! A loud, sharp noise echoes directly from the kitchen. It was so loud and honestly so unexpected that it freezes him dead in his tracks. Now, when this happens, your brain tries to rationalize the terror, right? Step 1, you tell yourself it's just the storm. Maybe the wind blew something off the counter. Step 2, you blame it on a lack of sleep. You're tired, it's late, your mind is just playing tricks on you. But then comes step 3, the terrifying realization that you're not alone. Because right beneath the sound of the rain, he hears something else. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps, walking heavily across the kitchen floor.
Gripping his phone, his hand literally shaking wildly, he nervously calls out into the pitch-black house. "Hello?" And what's truly horrifying here is what happened next. There was no answer, but the footsteps immediately stopped. Whoever or whatever was walking around in that dark kitchen was now standing completely still, just listening back.
The flashlight beam cuts through the darkness as he finally forces himself to actually walk into that kitchen. And the room was completely empty. No one was there. But one of the dining chairs had been moved, and it wasn't just, bumped out of place. It was sitting directly in the middle of the kitchen floor, and it was facing the exact doorway he was standing in. Let that sink in. Someone had pulled it out and deliberately positioned it to face him.
Section 3. The Figure Outside. As he's standing there staring at that empty chair, feeling entirely sick to his stomach, his phone violently vibrates in his hand. It's a call, and the caller ID simply reads, "Unknown number." He slowly brings the phone up to his ear and answers it. At first, there's nothing but this heavy, dead silence on the line. But then, a voice breaks through the static. It's this quiet, raspy whisper, "I can see you." And before he could even take a single breath, the call instantly ends. Click.
At this point, absolute panic is setting in. He's frantically looking all around the dark kitchen. And then, a half-second flash of lightning lights up the sky outside the window. It's just a fraction of a moment of bright white light, but in that split second, the whole yard is illuminated. And standing out there, right in the pouring rain, is a tall figure, completely still, not moving a single muscle, just staring directly through the glass at the house.
Section 4. Nowhere to hide. Right as that lightning fades, the power abruptly surges back on. The kitchen lights flicker and hum back to life. He stares out the window, but the backyard is completely empty again. The figure is just gone. Fueled by pure adrenaline, he sprints through the house, violently locking every single door and window, before running up the stairs and locking himself inside his bedroom. I mean, think about how fast this escalated. 1:30 a.m., the power goes out. Next, the downstairs intrusion, those footsteps, that moved chair. And now he's locked in the bedroom upstairs, just praying that he's safe. But then, the footsteps return. Only this time, they aren't in the kitchen. They are slow, they are heavy, and they are pacing back and forth, right outside his locked bedroom door.
The pacing outside the door suddenly stops. The entire house falls dead silent. And then, 3 deliberate, heavy strikes hit the bedroom door. Knock, knock, knock. He's barely able to speak, but he manages to whisper, "Who's there?"
Section 5, right behind you.
No voice answers from the hallway. Instead, the terror moves inside the room. Across from the bed, the bedroom closet, a door he knew with absolute certainty he had closed earlier, begins to slowly creak open completely by itself. He aims his shaking flashlight beam right into the gaping opening of the closet. The light reveals nothing but hanging clothes and deep, wet breathing. This horrific, guttural, rattling sound begins echoing out of the pitch black. Someone or something is in there.
Absolutely terrified, he starts slowly stepping backward, away from the closet, trying desperately not to make a single sound. And then, his phone vibrates one last time. It's a text message from the unknown number. 3 words appear on the glowing screen. "Don't look behind you."
Every single part of his body goes ice cold, because as he's standing there, totally frozen in the middle of his bedroom, just staring at the screen, the sound shifts. That deep, wet breathing is no longer echoing out of the closet in front of him. Those guttural exhales are now happening right against the back of his neck. He slowly, agonizingly turns his head, and there's a pale face hovering mere inches away from his own. Its eyes are solid, completely black voids, and its mouth is stretched impossibly wide into this horrifying, unnatural smile. And right before he could finally let out a scream, the lights in the house go out again.
And that concludes tonight's explainer. But before we wrap up and let this fire die down entirely, I really want you to look around you. You're sitting out here. The shadows are stretching out from the fire pit. The woods are so dark. If this fire went out right now, are you absolutely sure you know who is standing right behind you? Sleep well, everyone.